I want to take a look at this video too as well. Nobody was supposed to play this game, Mega Bonk. Mega Bonk has been completely a successful game that has happened recently. I've heard about it. I didn't get the chance to play it. Maybe we could play it one day. Maybe I can definitely pick it up. It's only like $10 on Steam. I don't mind playing it on stream if you guys want. So I think that'd be pretty fun to take a look at. But anyways, let's take a look at the video. It's very interesting how certain indie games has definitely rise from the I would say more like difficulty, as in like comparing to like AAA games. While AAA games have the bigger budget, but indie games seem to pop off more. Well, number one, I can think of a couple reasons why Mega Bonk was completely successful. It's cheap. It's not expensive compared to 60, 70, 80, 90 or $100 for a game. It's a roguelike, so you have multiple experiences to play in it, so you have different outcomes. You have different characters to unlock as well. I heard that the grinding to unlock certain characters is not that difficult either. It is a very fun, chill, relaxing game to have with. And I think another reason is, what is it? I had another reason on top of my head, but I don't remember off of it though.
This is insane. This game has done everything wrong, but it's still winning. In the middle of the busiest release schedule of 2025, we are talking about some of the heaviest hitters in both indie and in AAA. A little game called Mega Bonk comes out of nowhere and is sold so consistently.
Does it actually
slap? So regularly, and has so many players that are playing it that it is now directly competing with Borderlands 4 and Ghost of Yotei.
Well, Borderlands 4... they decided to kill their own game, okay? Let's be honest here. Randy Pitchford decided to say, you know, it's a premium game for premium gamers, okay? All right? And Ghost of Yotei, well, they, you know, what they did or so. But on top of that, too, as well, it's only released on console. So there is that as well.
We're talking about games that have spent likely hundreds of millions of dollars just on their marketing budgets versus a game that spent literally nothing, at least that's the way it looks from my perspective.
I actually saw videos of Mega Bonk, the development of Mega Bonk. It just randomly started popping up on my feed, and I was like, what is this? It's like, is that Mega Bonk? And I guess the YouTube algorithm is telling me to play Mega Bonk. And it was basically like the developer really explaining like, oh, you know, I got like a couple weeks only to do this and do that, or so to finish my game and upload it and everything. So
this game's success is entirely organic.
The advertisement is literally in the YouTube. The YouTube Shorts?
Was relatively unknown. Only had a few devlogs on YouTube. It has now become one of the most talked about and played games this year, and it hasn't stopped yet. You know, if I was working at one of these AAA companies, if I was on their board of executives, I would have a lot of questions. Because while these guys keep talking about how prices need to go up on just about everything that they have, it looks like they're wasting money to me. Because you have a guy, a solo developer, yet again, that made a game that's based off of memes in one of the most saturated genres in all of indie games, and he's making them look like fools.
Same old.
What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the success of Mega Bonk and how, against all odds, the game that did everything wrong is somehow actually doing everything right.
It's because it's actually fun.
Why a game like this has continued to grow, and why I think they planned it all. But before that, this video is sponsored by boot.dev, the best way, and honestly the fastest way, that I've found to be able to learn back-end development.
Oh my god, that'll get me back into development too. Anyways.
One of the things I find so fascinating about these indie success stories is how almost none of them are ever alike. Sure, they might share a genre, a theme, maybe a budget, but they almost never share the exact same set of conditions that make them blow up. Schedule 1 was passed around because it had its free demo, a absurdly long offering of over 80 hours of gameplay just in the demo alone, and the only reason people found it was because they started pushing it on streamers like Queso. Palworld was an incredibly fun game on its own, but its over-the-top tone and its controversy with Nintendo turned what could have been an obscure indie curiosity into one of the most talked about releases in the past 5 years. Balatro, Expedition 33.
Yeah, but these games do a lot of more innovation, you know, well, with Palworld did a lot more innovation what Nintendo couldn't at the end of the day. Schedule 1 is basically trying to sell drugs or trying to make drugs, like literally making your own pot farm or so at home.
We can continue to
Expedition
go down the list,
33
and it's
was
going
also
to
a
be the
really good
same.
one that
In
took,
almost
you
every
know,
single one of these cases, there was some strange hook, some defining trait that helped these games to rise above the rest and make traditional marketing feel entirely pointless. These games didn't succeed despite the system, they succeeded outside of the system, reaching heights that some of the most expensive AAA releases in recent years can't even touch, even after spending hundreds of millions of dollars trying to buy the exact same attention. Which brings us to the latest success, and honestly one of the weirdest ones yet, Mega Bonk, developed by a solo dev going under the name Vetadad. For whatever reason, if you guys haven't heard of this game, it's a survivor-like that's built off the exact same formula that was popularized by Vampire Survivors,
yeah.
a genre that has completely flooded the indie space at this point. We are way past the point of saturation here. Every theme, every IP, every niche seems to have one of these games right now. There's Hollow Cure with its VTuber cast, Deep Rock Galactic Survivor,
Yeah, of
Heretical, which
course.
is essentially Diablo as a survivor, Halls of Torment, 20 Minutes Till Dawn. The list doesn't just end. So when I say that a game like this shouldn't have succeeded, I mean it, because there are just so many of them out there. And while a lot of these games do just fine, true breakout success is an entirely different story when a genre is this crowded, but Mega Bonk did it. As of recording this video, Mega Bonk hit a peak of over 117,000 concurrent players
Wow,
on Steam,
dude.
but it didn't start
That's
there.
crazy.
It launched at barely 3,000 players. It doubled that number the next day, then it climbed another 5 and 10,000 almost every single day until it broke 100,000 players.
Well, the mouth, opens up and speaks and spreads the word around how good this game is and how well optimized the game is, especially in the year 2025 when games are literally unoptimized whatsoever. It's kind of like,
kind of steady day-by-day growth almost never happens, and once you look into how this game actually reached those players, it starts to make perfect sense. The first thing, and probably the most obvious, is the price. Yet another game that's sitting at about $10 or less, making it an easy entry point for
It's
just about
easy.
anyone. It doesn't feel like a commitment. It's cheaper than McDonald's.
Very
and with
easy.
it being on Steam, if you don't like it, you can just refund it. Nothing here is making you feel like you're locked in, you're not married to the game, something that we cannot
Potato
say
and
for
Potato
a
2?
majority of the games that have released
that means it's just really
recently.
well
Now,
optimized.
on top of that, during its launch week, the developer put it on sale for $8.
Oh, wow.
Imagine that. It's actually something that I've seen more and more indie games start to do lately, and it's incredibly smart. It gives people a reason to take a chance right away. Why do they want to buy today? That's a question that some of these developers need to be asking
I didn't even know it was on
themselves,
sale,
especially
actually.
right now when we are in the middle of a huge flood of releases, most of them $70 games with hardware prices that are skyrocketing around them. People do not have a lot of extra cash that's sitting around right now, but $8 or $10, I mean, anybody can scrape that together without a second thought.
Yeah, because now buying two AAA games is like basically an estimate of in certain countries, right? I know in the US or so, if it's let's say if it's like $69.99 or so, right? It's like $70, I assume, with like tax or something. I don't know how the tax is. So I'm just gonna round it up to 70. It's like 140. You're spending like $150 for that much for two games. And compared to indie games, you could probably buy like a good amount of indie games with that amount of price, with $40 or so. With that, you can buy like how many Mega Bonks you can buy? You can buy like 15 Mega Bonks or 14 Mega Bonks with that price.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I think Mega Bonk is some revolutionary leap forward for the survivor genre. I've been playing it, I've definitely been addicted to it, but what I think really sets this game apart is that it's fully 3D and it heavily leans into mechanics that have been ripped straight out of Risk of Rain 2, which I love, by the way, because it's a game that I have over 1,000 hours into.
True.
And, well, that also makes me realize just how dangerous it is for me to be playing a game like this. But movement and positioning play a massive role in the game. You got to think about how you're traversing the map and how your abilities work. The game heavily leans into meme culture with characters and items named things like Mega Chad, Burgor, and a tree boss named Bark Vader. The game is just really lighthearted, absurd, and fun. And honestly, that's what sold me on the game, because there's just so many full-priced games out right now that require 70 hours of progression even to feel like you just even started the game. They take themselves so seriously, and guys, I'm just kind of tired of it at this point.
So this is basically the statement of the Sonyfication of gaming, where they all stories are serious and all this other stuff, you know? Like there's a place and a time for certain games to be serious, and then there's just some games that you just kind of want to have fun with, you know? I think that's probably one of the reasons why indie games are also popular, because it's just kind of fun. You just plug in, you sit down, and you download it, you play it, and you have a good time, you know? Whether you are better than Asmon in this genre? Sure, I guess we can try it out one of these days. We'll try it out. I don't know. I think I only watched like one or two of his Vods or so, and he was getting completely shat on in the first two videos that he was playing Mega Bonk. It was pretty funny in my personal opinion. um, but yeah, overall, it's just I think people are just tired of this like very like in like I assume like a chunk of it, or a good majority of people are, because every single game is like the same, like it's the same thing, right? So they're kind of tired of having the whole super in-depth story and everything and all of this other stuff. It's basically like equivalent to like eating always at a 5-star restaurant every single day, because like the intricate ingredients and the way how they cook the food, it's so good and everything, right? But sometimes, you know, sometimes having a quick meal at a fast food place can also be pretty good. Nice, you know, different palate cleanser, you know, or just anywhere in general besides eating at a 5-star restaurant is just better, you know. That's why AA games and indie games have been popping off more, because they've been cheaper, they've been well optimized, they're just fun to play. And you know, Expedition 33 is a good one or so when it comes to like Expedition, like the story or so is good, right? It's an actual really well written story compared to this, at least most of the Sony games. Ghost of Yote, for example. Ghost of Yote is probably the best example where, well, the story is basically the same thing as Ghost of Tsushima 1, you know, Ghost of Tsushima in general, and it's like you've kind of already played this, so it's the same thing, so there's no point of you playing Ghost of Yote if you already played Ghost of Tsushima, you know. And it's just kind of like, it's just the
Well,
same
it's something
shit.
I can jump in and jump out of. I don't feel like I need to make time for it. I feel refreshed after playing it. I don't need to memorize controls or mechanics, and it's what makes games like this so great, because you can just learn by feeling.
That's what it feels like for me too when it came to Blue Protocol and Battlefield 6, and also Sonic Crossworld. I can just come in and play it without wanting to learn mechanics or like builds or anything like that, because I'd rather play it with you guys and play it in a private lobby with just the basics of like the normal perks and everything, and just do the normal racing in general and just have fun with it.
And game feel is something that's just entirely lost on this industry right now. Hell, I largely don't even need to think while I'm playing this game, but that doesn't mean that the game can't get serious. Mechanically, the game is incredibly simple, but you got to make sure that you have a solid build by the time you reach each stage's final boss. Otherwise, you're just going to get hammered. You got to have the movement nailed down. You got to have multiple layers of protection stacked up. Otherwise, you're just going to get one shot by the final boss. It's the kind of game where every single choice matters, and that gives it a very different flavor of challenge from a lot of other games in this genre. And the music, that's another thing too. Dude, the music in this game has no business going this hard. It is way too good. It is so easy to find myself just trapped in a trance, disassociating and looking up and seeing that hours have gone by. But none of those things are why this game actually reached players. That's the foundation. That's the stuff that made it all possible. But what really pushed this game into the spotlight was something entirely different. See, Mega Bonk didn't have any traditional marketing. What it did have was a developer that was uploading their devlogs to YouTube. Actually, scratch that. There was only one devlog and a handful of YouTube shorts that completely outperformed that long-form video. These shorts were...
Well, shorts is the new way of getting engagement now in this day and age for the short attention span people. As you can tell, you know, these are pretty very bright, vibrant thumbnails on here, and they have a lot of, you know,
brilliant high-colored thumbnails, bubble text pulled straight from tweets and YouTube comments, meta humor showing players asking for new mechanics and characters.
Yeah, shorts is definitely a great advertisement.
They were actually making it for them. Later ones started showing these players beating the developer's high score in the demo, and there were other ones that were showing people breaking the game entirely with busted builds. And then there's also this mystery behind the entire thing. A lot of people believe this game was made by Danny Dev, a YouTuber that vanished about 3 years ago. The developer's name, Venedad, is literally Danny Dev spelled backwards, and the thumbnails and the editing style are almost identical to his. Whether it's actually him returning under a new name or it's somebody that just perfectly studied his playbook, it worked. The videos hit the exact same mix of humor, creativity, and accessibility that made Danny Dev's channel blow up in the first place.
This might be a hot take, but I also factor the climate we are in. Let's face it, AAA studios will never make games like Mega Bonk because it's just like you said, they are like 5-star restaurants. You also got to expect a 5-star restaurant to serve 5-star food. Remember the whole thing with Spider-Man 2 and Baldur's Gate 3? People wanted Spider-Man to win because they see Baldur's Gate 3 as nerdy or lame type of shit. Really, that's interesting. They see it as nerdy and lame. That's very odd, to be honest, for to use that an actual like argument against it. It's such a silly argument to hear that, to be honest. Yeah, no, like plus also at the same time, I want to add something on top of that too. AAA games don't want to take risks. Remember the discussion or so about Silent Hill F and how a lot of people were literally calling Silent Hill F not being Silent Hill and everything like that? That's the reason why AAA devs don't want to take risks of making new games or game mechanics in general. And you're just gonna have the same slop every fucking year or every same couple of years. You're gonna have like the very serious tone, the very serious story of the same repeated concept or the same repeated topic and everything, you know? And that you're just gonna get bored really easily compared to indie games. Indie games like to innovate. They like to do new things. They like to experiment different mechanics, mixing mechanics in general, you know? Silent Hill F is just Dark Souls, Silent Hill. Silent Hill F is, like, I've already talked about this topic. You can probably see the video for it to come out. But yeah, Silent Hill F is basically, it's its own game, okay? It's its own standalone game, all right? We saw the video for it specifically. Baldur's Gate is based off of Dungeons and Dragons, hence why it's got branded as nerdy. I thought personally, well, okay, if it is Dungeons and Dragons, that's fine, you know? But I think personally, I think it's a fine game by itself, you know, personally. And I personally have no problem. Like, I have no problem of Baldur's Gate 3 existing, you know, but I'm gonna be honest with you. They'll be questioning other people's taste in weird shenanigans when you can literally have sex with a bear, okay? All right?
And while I've been watching this entire thing, I realized what was actually happening. This, my friends, is pure, unfiltered social media marketing genius, and I love it. Take a minute to think about it. Those videos that are suggesting features and then he shows that he put those features in, they invite more people to comment with their own ideas, which then boosts engagement and feeds the algorithm. The videos that are showing the leaderboards and the broken builds, that's encouraging more players to share their own footage in hopes that the developer might feature them next. It's a self-sustaining loop of curiosity and recognition. The audience is shaping the game, the developer is shaping the content, and the cycle just keeps feeding itself. They made a game for the players, and now those players are marketing that game, which means the next step was only a matter of time. Streamers. Nearly every major streamer on YouTube and Twitch have been playing Mega Bonk, and all these guys have been addicted to it. I only found out about the game because somebody popped into my live chat and asked me if I had tried the game yet. I said that I hadn't heard about it, and they said that they had found it through those same YouTube shorts and brought it to their favorite content creator, and that's exactly how it spread. The same thing happened with Queso, Moist Critical, Shroud, Quinn69, and eventually Asmongold when he came back from his break. Glad to see that guy's doing all right, by the way. Once those streamers got it into their hands...
Baldur's Gate 3 is also turn-based strategy game, so it will scare away the casual gamers. That is very true. That is very true. They definitely don't like turn-based or RPG aspects. I like RPG aspects, you know, but as in like the JRPG. Personally, for me, that's what I like the most.
Visibility hit critical mass. Each new creator that picked up the game brought in more players, and the numbers just kept climbing from there.
Hey, Hazu.
And now this loops us all the way back to gameplay, because remember what I said earlier, it's the foundation, not the catalyst. Mega Bonk has insane replayability. Each level is broken up into 3 different areas. Those 3 areas have 3 difficulty tiers, challenges, quests, unlockable items, characters, weapons, tomes, skins, maps, secrets. It's stacked with a ton of different content. Combine that with how fun the game is and how mechanically satisfying it is to play, and now you have something that's hooking in players for weeks. So as visibility grew, the new players weren't dropping in and leaving, they were staying, they were playing daily, sharing clips, streaming it, and that created this cycle of growth that just built upon itself, a perfect storm of fun gameplay, streamer exposure, and social media momentum, something that the rest of this industry desperately needs to learn from, but they likely won't. Out of the huge slate of AAA games and just games in general that we've seen release over the past couple of months, I have played Borderlands 4, Hades 2, and Silksong. And after playing Borderlands 4, I felt like I needed to take a week-long break before I even tried to dip a toe into playing Dying Light 2. And while there are AAA games that I like, right now I'm in the mode of I've seen it, I've been there,
Mhm.
I've done that. I've heard this story before, and
Mhm.
there is just so much time commitment and so much time between when I can actually get to the content, the heart of the actual experience, that it just makes me go, no. I'm
I
just
assume it's like the story writing, the mechanics of the game itself for it to be like, I've seen it, I've done it, I've been here, I don't need to do it again. Basically, the Ghost of Yote is the same exact thing for this. What's this? What are you posting here? Safel says, Clear Obscure Expedition 33 winning game of the year isn't something we aim for, and even though it would be a nice little bonus, it's rooting for Mega Bonk. I'm gonna be honest with you, Expedition 33 is excelling in a lot of things in general, so they're a humble little indie studio, to be honest. I think they're definitely going to win game of the year.
really not that into it. I want a digestible game, and Mega Bonk, that's a digestible game.
I assume because like Mega Bonk is a lot easy. It's like a lot easy to play the game itself compared to like, you know, a AAA game, which is like you have to spend in hours or so. Sometimes it'll get good after like 70 hours into the game. You have to learn this mechanic of the game itself. You got this intricate mini game that you have to do. You gotta do this, you gotta do that. While Mega Bonk is like you log in, you pick a character, you play the game, you do what you gotta do, rinse and repeat, and it's just randomized every single time that you go into the game, and then you unlock the store, and then, you know, and all this other stuff. Is it to dive in and pay and play for a minute? Is it to get into and has enough content to keep you entertained for hours? Expedition 30 has to win music for sure, at the very least. That is very true. It has to win game for music at least, and there's no way any other OST can beat it. But I'd be curious to see what's going to be nominated. I'll be very curious when that happens, or so what's going to get nominated.
I think there's something to that. I think it's not that there's too much or too little content with some of these games. I think it's the speed and the frequency in which you can actually reach the content and how quickly you can actually enjoy it. That's how you keep people playing your games. That's how you keep people talking about your games. You know, this entire first week that I've seen of Ghost of Yote being up and around, a lot of people are just sharing how pretty
charging,
the game is. And
you know,
you
60,
can definitely
70,
sell copies based on
$80
how
for the
pretty
game.
something is, especially in the case of Ghost of Yote. A lot of people are waiting on the content. And the longer it takes to get to the content, the less interested people are going to be in the game.
There are 3 roguelike games that I'm interested in. One of them is the one with the FPS shooter game. The second one is I'll probably try Mega Bonk. And then there's a third one, which is the robot action game that kind of like piques my interest. Those are the 3 roguelike games that actually pique my interest right now.
Less it's going to be a part of the discussion. And that's exactly how you lose momentum. The marketing for this game is just genius. That's all it is. This developer knew exactly what they were doing the minute they saw those.
Didn't the
YouTube
Dark
shorts
Ages ain't
take
getting
off,
a
they
nomination for
abandoned the
music?
long-form
That's for
videos, they
sure the
focused
case.
directly on that. They answered player feedback directly. They implemented their changes
Damn,
into
man,
the game.
damn.
So when the players finally got their hands on the game, they got exactly what they had asked for. And people love to talk about getting exactly what they want. That's like 90% of social media today. It's people that are talking about getting exactly what they want or being mad that they aren't getting what they want. If you tap into that, you're going to find success.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best part of it, because when a game pops off like this, the players aren't just playing it. They're sharing it. They're clipping it. They're talking about it because it's theirs. They own it. That's
true, because was what he said earlier in the video. You know, they asked him if they can add this or add that into the game itself. It's basically this game was made by gamers, made for the gamers, compared to, you know, the AAA slop that we're having now these days, which is not really made for gamers. It's more made for, I guess, quote unquote, the art, the medium, or or just basically putting DEI into some of these games. There are some of these games that do have the DEI in them. Freaking, what is it? The weird gay scene or so back in Assassin's Creed Shadows with what's his name? Yosuke. Yosuke or whatever is called, with the weird dude or so, or the lesbian scene, the kissing lesbian scene in Assassin's Creed Shadows or something like that. I remember that being in the game too as well for some random parent reason. You're right. They made it for the premium gamers, but I don't know what premium gamers are gonna pay for that.
Not marketing. That is just organic momentum. That is interest, real interest. And that's something that you just can't buy. And that's something that AAA keeps trying to do. One of the things that I think really helps sell these recent indie successes is the genuine desire to be a part of something that is real. Players want to be in on it early. They want to be the first ones to find out about the next hit surprise before anybody else does. Communities then form around that, and there's something patently authentic about that experience, almost nostalgic, like the days of midnight launches or meeting friends in line while you're waiting for a game that you're all excited about. It's the same feeling of shared discovery, of genuine excitement, and it's something that you cannot manufacture, though many of publishers are trying to do so right now. Something that is not necessarily new but feels more blatant than ever is how inauthentic the excitement around certain games have become. Take the upcoming Call of Duty Black Ops 7. The hype behind this game feels entirely forced, especially from content creators and the marketing itself. And I'm not talking about paid sponsorships or brand deals or even talking money under the table. I'm just talking about being performative. I mean, how is anybody supposed to take any of this enthusiasm seriously when we're talking about a series that has spent years now eroding?
What the hell? I just noticed something. All of the Black Ops people that are talking here are all women. Yeah, I just noticed that right now. I remember back in the old days where Call of Duty, you know, when they talk about it or so, it's usually a bunch of guys that are talking about Call of Duty. That's interesting to see that it's just mostly like that actually proves the picture that I showed a while back or so, that it's just literally just full of female devs that they really don't understand what makes Call of Duty Call of Duty. Rewind the tapes or watch. If we go back, right? Watch.
Excitement around certain games have become. Take the upcoming Call of Duty Black Ops 7. The hype behind this game feels entirely forced, especially from content creators and the marketing itself. And I'm not talking about paid sponsorships or brand deals or even talking money under the table. I'm just talking about being performative. I mean, how is anybody supposed to take any of this enthusiasm seriously when we're talking about a series that has spent years now eroding players?
It's like just female. It's literally just female completely, like talking about Call of Duty, which is kind of a little bit odd in general compared to like Battlefield. Battlefield just has a like guys talking about Battlefield games and what makes Battlefield Battlefield. I feel like that's probably the thing itself that's missing from Call of Duty. Like at the end of the day, Call of Duty was made by guys. Vince Zampella was the one that made Call of Duty what it is today, you know, because it was made by a guy and understood what male gamers loved at the end of the day. Because they're women, co-is misogyny. I can't be misogynist if I'm not a dude, okay? All right? Why are you assuring their pronouns? Your mom has pronouns. Shut the fuck up, chat, okay? All right? No one gives a fuck about your opinion, all right? It just says a lot of things in general that, like, you know, Call of Duty is definitely not the same. Plus also, like, yeah, did I click with the game itself? Yeah, totally. You know, you'll probably maybe see some gameplay of me, you know, literally destroying kids, you know. Take care, Aqua, be safe. But you identify as a guy, right? Your mom identifies as a guy. And also the problem is this game feels very rushed and it doesn't really look that great. And for some apparent reason, it's asking for like crazy recommended specs for this game, which is kind of insane in my personal opinion. So
this franchise has been slop farming its audience for over a decade. The trailer has over 500,000 dislikes on YouTube.
Jesus.
Yet we have content creators and Activision that are both trying to desperately convince everybody that this is somehow the best Call of Duty ever. Everywhere I look right now, I'm seeing videos and posts that are trying to convince players that Battlefield 6 won't last, that Call of Duty deserves another chance, that this one will finally be different, guys. These guys...
The one guy that's literally just showed up in this entire dev VOD stream thing, you know, for Call of Duty Next, Reminds me of the artists throughout history. Basically, all the most renowned artists in history are men. Is there a woman here and there? Probably, but a lot of them are men. On the flip side, muses are basically all women. Yeah, of course. Like there are certain like males are more dominant in certain genres and certain topics compared to women. That's just how it is throughout history. You know, that's the thing itself. Like guys know about guns and like what makes guys and bros, you know, and females know how to do female stuff. Can females do stuff that bros can do? Yeah, of course they can. They can. There's some women that can probably do really great storytelling for, you know, for the guys, you know, because they're making games for dudes because they know exactly what gamers are. Gamers are mostly men. It's more, they probably cater more to the men side of things, you know. That's why they don't really make ugly characters. They don't make ugly female characters. But then there's certain female people who decide, you know, instead of making a very pretty female character for a guy, they decided to they either self-insert themselves or, you know, self-insert their looks of how ugly they are and then put them in the game. And then, well, the guys are going to be like, what the fuck is this? I didn't pay for this to see this, you know. And it's just kind of basically it, you know. It's like at the end of the day, it's guys who are buying the games, dudes, gamers, guys in general. There are females who play games, but at the end of the day, females also like looking at pretty women as well. Games are supposed to take us away from the real world. It's supposed to bring us into an alternative fantasy world and not bring us back to reality and make us remember, oh yeah, I got a fucking job I gotta do the next following day and everything, you know? But can they jork it? Probably not.
But what we're seeing here is fear. It's a collision of circumstances where longtime creators who have built their platforms around this series need it to be able to stay relevant, while Activision is genuinely threatened by real competition. Black Ops 6 is at its lowest player count in over a decade. Reports are saying that Microsoft lost $300 million putting the game on Game Pass.
That's the biggest mistake, to be honest, is to put it on Xbox Game Pass.
Sinking ship, each one pretending like it's still sailing, and they are hoping that you will start rowing. The result has been this strange corporate hollow atmosphere, one that's probably going to do a lot more harm than good.
That's another female too as well.
The harder they push this forced enthusiasm, the more it's going to just drive players away. And when you're releasing a new Call of Duty every single year, it's not an event anymore. It's just a transaction, a routine, and no amount of empty excitement is ever going to change that. And what I think makes this all the more hilarious is the games that aren't screaming for attention are the ones that are getting it right now. I mean, Activision and Microsoft are burning hundreds of millions of dollars trying to fake excitement. Mega Bonk did it all for free. People actually cared. People wanted to talk about it because they actually wanted to. Streamers played it because they were genuinely curious about it. The conversation wasn't scripted. It was spontaneous. That's the difference. Mega Bonk feels like a game that was made for its community, not a product that was being sold at them. It wasn't designed to dominate engagement metrics or check off corporate KPIs. It was just fun, and that's enough to make people want to share it. AAA can spend all the money in the world, but if the players don't believe in what they're selling, well, it's just noise. And I don't think these guys have realized it yet. The constant releases, the endless sequels, the recycled franchises, they have no motion. It ties back to that been there, done that fatigue I mentioned earlier.
No passion.
We've seen these games before, and they're running out of tricks to be able to play, to be able to try to keep us interested. Hell, now more than ever, they don't even entice us with anything new.
It's because they're scared to innovate. That's what they're scared. You know, they're scared to do new things because they know for a fact they won't sell unless it has the title of an older game of it to go in. Like, take a look at Marathon, you know? The reason why Marathon had some people pique their interest or so is because it's the IP of an old name, but it's literally not the same game. It's an extraction shooter for some apparent reason that they decide to do. And if they would have put any other normal name for it, it probably wouldn't have gotten a much buzz on the game itself. So plus, also, a lot of people don't want to even try new games because there's multiple reasons why. It's expensive. That's number one. And then number two is like, there are some people who just don't want to try new games at all.
The only thing they have left is to sell is nostalgia. Half of the excitement around these games anymore is the faint hope that the series might return to form or listen to player feedback. Those phrases by now have already lost all meaning. Players' expectations are so low right now that it's just borderline apathetic, and that's exactly why these indie hits are so big, and that's why they're thriving right now, because for once, we don't know what we're getting.
True.
Expectations. Now, there's
True.
a conversation we should probably be having because I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but as somebody who follows nearly every major release every single year, whether that's just tracking the news, the reception, or actually playing these games, one of the biggest factors that I've seen in a game's success has almost always come down to expectations. And more times than not, it is the price that is setting it. Remember earlier when I was talking about how it's not a matter of a game having too much or too little content, but how quickly you can access it? I think it's the exact same logic that's applying to quality, or at least how we perceive it before we actually even touch a game. Price is shaping that perception.
Yeah.
How do you get people celebrating a game like Mega Bonk? Easy. They spend $8 to $10 on a game and they get something that massively over-delivers. It was deeper, more competent, and way more fun than anyone expected for a game that looks like it costs $8. It's a surprise, a pleasant one, and it makes players feel like they've been given something, not sold something. You can feel the developer's appreciation baked into it. The directive there was to make money, sure, but not at the expense of the player's experience. When I think back to a game like Expedition 33, that's another one that released at $50 and it punched way above its weight. I don't really care about the vernacular here, indie, AA. Expedition 33 was a AAA experience, or at least what we should actually be expecting for AAA games to actually be like. Something mind-blowing.
This is what I like. Expedition 33 literally gives me AAA vibes. Like this specifically, this game just gives me that vibe in general. What I guess you can say what gaming used to be back in the heydays of the golden era of gaming. But now these days, you know, people just rinse and repeat buy the same shit. Pokemon, you know, they've gotten lazy. They haven't really innovated their shit. You know, they haven't really like get a new engine for their game to make the games run better on their console and everything, all that stuff. So there's no innovation with that, right? Same thing with Call of Duty. No much innovation, at least the more recent ones anyways. The older ones I defended because they're really are different. They're set apart differently from one another because of their artistic style. Compared to the new ones, they all feel the same mechanically. They all feel the same. The way how they play and everything in general, they're just all the fucking same. It's just literally in a different setting. And then the same thing with the sports games, but we don't talk about the sports game. The sports games are in their own genre over there of their desolate place, often La La Land. And then, you know, you got to, you know, insert other games in general, how they've been recently. I have Chicken to Plug with Pokemon.
Something you want to come back to over and over again. And when you play a game like that, it feels like you've been gifted something by the developer. That $50 investment doesn't just feel worth it. It feels like you stole the damn game. And I think that games like that come from a mindset where the price isn't even on the developer's radar. That focus is just on the experience and that sincerity.
That fight was so great. I love this fight, actually.
They just announced that they're going to have a new free DLC celebrating selling 5 million copies with entirely new dungeons.
That's crazy,
bosses,
though.
enemies,
I can't wait.
Again,
I'm super excited.
Money was never the priority. The customer and their experience were. Now we turn our eyes to AAA. $70 sets an insanely high bar that most of these companies will never reach. And honestly, regardless of the economy, I don't even think games should cost that much to begin with. That price tag creates a cycle of impossible expectations. You sell me a good $70 game one year, now you got to do it again the next year. Only bigger, flashier, and somehow better. The problem is, most of these studios are completely out of ideas. They've lost the talent that actually helped them earn that first $70. So
the problem is like I assume there's a couple things, right? A couple things. There are, because like Mike Zampella is probably one of the best examples, is where they fired him for one of the Call of Duty so they didn't have to pay him his extra bonus of the game success. Of course, he sued Activision and he did win the case and got the money for it. That's one example, right? Some people get laid off or so of certain situations and certain matters. Creative differences as well, where the lead writer or the writer for the game itself decides to leave because of creative differences and they decided to, you know, not work with these people because they're fucking annoying. I'm gonna be honest with you, some millennials do not know how to write stories. I'll be honest with you, there are some that really do not know how to write stories, because like a lot of them do like to do self-insertion in your stories in general. But if I'm gonna do a self-insert, right, I'd rather play as a villain and kind of like exaggerate myself like to an 11, okay? All right? Because that's probably where like that's where I want to be at personally. Fix your generation code. That ain't not my generation. Get the fuck out of here. That's also one case in general when it comes to the story, because they don't really know like actual struggles and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, some of these people never doesn't know what struggling is, you know? How I make a story, then they fucked. I'll be honest with you, it's easy. It's easy to like make a story for gamers. You gotta, you gotta cater for the guys in general. Some 95% is slop. You have to dig and dig deep to find a good story. Well, we say that, and we take a look at freaking Dragon Age: The Veil Guard. Dragon Age: The Veil Guard. Well, let's be honest here. The story in that game was it was something. It was definitely something. I'll be honest with you. God Lord, dude.
Now they have to compensate with graphics, higher fidelity, bigger worlds, higher budgets, all to make a game look like it was worth
That shit
my
had a
money
story?
when it clearly isn't.
Don't remind me.
You know what? At this point, I would argue that that $70 price tag has actually flipped our expectations. Nobody believes in it anymore. Our expectations for a $70 game
That was
are
a
sky high.
creation,
They're
I'll be
buried
honest
in the
with
dirt.
you.
We know exactly what we're buying. A game that has put a premium on its expense, not on our experience. We expect something safe, something recycled, something loaded with microtransactions and pre-order bonuses. We expect it to be rushed, buggy,
Yeah.
unfinished, because cutting QA saves them money, and the players will end up doing that job anyway. Worse, on top of that, we're also going to be the ones that are going to be paying for the fixes later.
Yep.
A really interesting discussion that I saw recently were players that were talking about the Game Pass
Yeah.
price hikes and how they were totaling up all of their expenses so far as how many games they actually played and how many games they actually purchased.
The story
in a
is
year, and
not
they came
that
to the
great for
conclusion
that
The
game.
service wasn't worth it for them anymore. $5 here, $10 there. They're mostly buying indie games anymore. $360. That's not what they're spending every year on video games. And when I see that and I hear people talking about that, it makes me think that more and more
That makes
people are being
sense.
drawn in by the price of some of these games rather than anything else. And
Like I said, there are certain games that people will buy full price or pre-order, right? Everyone has their own specific genre, right? For me, it used to be Kingdom Hearts, which it still is Kingdom Hearts, right? And Monster Hunter. But ever since Monster Hunter was completely rushed and all this other stuff and like very well unoptimized, game mechanics were neutered, very streamlined and everything like that, to trying to cater the broader audience instead of their core fan base of what makes Monster Hunter Monster Hunter. Well, you basically lost me as a customer, and I'm not going to pre-order the next game, and I'm gonna be more wary. I don't even know if I'm even gonna buy the next game at this point. You know, I'm just kind of like, I might as well just go look at a different other game and have them have my money. Maybe go look at an indie game.
dagger here is that price tag is inviting them in, but the game itself is exceeding far beyond their expectations. And I would actually argue that even if you go and you watch some of the reviews for some of these games, or even go watch a
Your
streamer
mom is
play
mad.
some of these games, they're still going to deliver an experience that you don't expect.
Yeah,
For
of
me,
course.
with Mega Bonk, it was
Everyone has that one game where it'd be like, I'm gonna pre-order this game because it's a good, well-known franchise. But then when the game comes out, it wasn't, my first pre-order betrayed me. I pre-ordered Mafia 3. They will only redeem their name if they release PC versions of Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Whew, I wish they would do that, to be honest. I always say lets people get their asses kicked to see if they are actual gamers.
the game actually feel to play, the mechanical depth of how it feels to play. It's learning how momentum works and sliding around and how to be able to position yourself and position your character properly, to be able to use your weapons effectively, balancing your tomes and weapons and what kind of build that you're going to use, with what kind of character you're going to use, like using banana and trying to maintain a straight line to maximize its damage. That's not the kind of mechanical depth that I had expected from a game like this.
Yeah.
But I got it, and it made me more hooked on it. And it also makes me appreciate it more because I only paid $8 for it. That's what's driving a lot of these games to wild success. And you just don't see that in AAA games anymore because we know what to expect from them. And these companies need us to know what to expect from them because that's why they're called a safe option for these guys.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a third-person sword guy action game. Oh, it's Dark Souls. It's literally Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And while I like Dark Souls, I still want something new. I still want something fresh. I still want
Yeah, it's the Souls-like fatigue, or so that everything is becoming a Souls-like instead of it being like an action game, It's better. I like if I would make a third person game, right? It'd be more of a hack and slash action game instead of a Souls like game. If that's where I would go if I would make that specific game.
Want something different, and I still want you to try to exceed my expectations. And if you don't, well, it just makes me feel like I'm playing the same game over and over and over again.
More in the realm of Bayonetta, the DMC, and Kingdom Hearts. That's basically like the realm I want to land in with my game, as in like hack and slash, beat 'em up style, third person kind of game. Yeah, thanks to Iron Pineapple for basically showing just how many Souls-like games there actually is. Yeah, there's a lot of indie. The indie ones is what what it is in general, right? But I'm talking about like the AAA industry, like just the AAA core industry community, right? Not the indie, not the AA or anything like that, right? The AAA scene has a lot of games that have been coming out. They've been like Souls-like aspect games, and it's just kind of like a little bit too much about it in my personal opinion. It feels like a little bit redundant. I kind of want to play something else besides, Souls likes. But that's just me. Last new fresh game I played was Hi-Fi Rush, and it was so good. Hi-Fi Rush is definitely a good game. I still want to play that game one of these days. It boils down to trial and errors in games. The style of games just doesn't exist in the AAA industry anymore. Meanwhile, indie games and like Hollow and Ghost Runners are about the one perfect run to beat /a boss section. Yeah, the problem is like they don't want to do any innovations or like try to experiment certain things in the AAA industry because number one, my personal opinion is like they fucking use too much fucking money for fucking pretty graphics and everything, and it's just kind of like, well, you want to have a game to have good gameplay instead of spending trillions or millions of dollars of great graphics or great CGI animated cutscenes. Because take a look at fucking Concord, which it had like amazing cinematic cutscenes, quotation marks, amazing. And look where it's at now. It's fucking down in the fucking toilet, and it just went, and the studio is gone on top of that too, as well. So that's the reason why. Well, what do you expect? They don't wanna do innovation because when they try to do something new or so, they're scared of it flopping. And then, well, Lord and behold, what do you expect? Cole, we all know you beat them up games will also include hentai. Your mom is gonna include the hentai in it. True Plus also some of the games he digs up for this series is also college projects. Not all of them are even indie technically.
Again, and while that can be fun for a while, it's not fun for very long.
Yeah, it's very risky to do innovative stuff.
I totally think Mega Bonk was made by Danny Dev. I totally think it's just way too much of a coincidence, obviously, with the name and also with the way that they made a lot of their content. I could totally see this being as one of those zero to hero. I made a game without using my name or recognition or my channel to see if it could actually become popular on its own, and it worked. One of those kind of things. You've seen content creators do that kind of stuff with like YouTube channels and Twitch streams and stuff. Like, I tried to start all the way over, and this is how it happened. But it could just be somebody that's just insanely inspired by the guy. And if that's the case, that's pretty sick. I'll be honest with you.
Passion.
I will tell you right now.
The passion is gone when it comes to like video games, when it comes to the AAA scene. They don't have really passionate people behind those dev teams. As someone who myself is pretty passionate on creating like world building stories, it's definitely something that I want to share with you guys that I think you guys would pretty much enjoy, because these have been stories that have been in the work or so for like, I'd say about 15 plus years now.
Indie dev, I highly recommend that you pay attention to everything that happened with this game.
Yeah.
And how they continue to perpetuate the interest around it. You still have to have a good game first. I'm not saying that's not a part of the equation. That is the baseline. That is the expectation that most of us are going to have. Have a good game, but if you pay attention to how this developer had marketed the game, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have an easy time. It's brilliant. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I'll be live today. If today is Friday, if you're watching this not on Friday, then, well, come back on a Friday. Anyway, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
That was a good video. That was definitely a good video. Yeah, not gonna lie, I gotta try Mega Bonk one of these days. I feel like Mega Bonk would be a pretty fun game to stream for everybody. It'd be pretty fun just to kind of like upload it or so on also on whatchamacallit, on YouTube as well. If everyone, if you know, my YouTube audiences wants to see me play a roguelike game. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. You guys can comment, like, subscribe, do all that fancy jazzy stuff. Yeah, and it's like I said, this day and age, indie games is the new lead when it comes to innovative mechanics and innovation. If you wanna spice up your video game library, your video game taste, and everything like that, I suggest playing, you know, some indie games. I recommend some indie games in general to be your helm forward when it comes to certain things and aspects of gaming in general. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. And oh yeah, also on top of that, I am working on, I'm not saying I'm working on, I have, you know, because this is also the same topic as well, I am part of a team working on a game with the team itself, and they're using me for the art style for the game for characters. So be expected to see something in the coming months about it. So just letting you guys know, for those who watched the end of the video right now. For those who do not, unfortunately, they will never know. But those who did watch at the end of the video, thank you very much for watching the end of the video. And yes, I am working on the art for a certain video game that is being worked on, because they scouted me and hired me and brought me into the team. So fuck you, YouTube Rocks. We're raising the membership price to $360 a year. No motion capture from Co. Scammed. Okay, buddy, we're not going that far, all right? But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. And long live indie devs, in my personal opinion. Indie games are where the new hot topic is at. There are a lot of good indie games. I suggest go search them up on Steam, in my personal opinion. But yeah, anyways, that's the end of the video. And